We made a video to show some of the components we use in the 850 turbo kit. Skidoo made a great snowmobile for this year, and we wanted to put in our best effort to get the power on the ground with our turbo kits, both with a non-intercooled and an intercooled setup. We know there's a market for both, and we want to make sure that we can keep it affordable, yet look after the guys who are looking for the most track speed possible. So we'll start with the turbo assembly itself. Of course, there's a few things we will not sacrifice on quality, and one being the turbocharger itself. We use only a genuine Garrett turbocharger. We use a GT2860RS turbocharger. We are now using stainless steel turbine housings. We do this obviously for the anti-corrosion properties of stainless steel, just to keep them looking good. We use a stainless steel muffler. Our stainless steel muffler also has a baffle that is welded into it. You can see that. When we put the muffler on, we get copper exhaust gaskets cut. They're a little more malleable. They'll do a better job of sealing. That way you don't have any leaking of exhaust in the engine bay or possible oil through break-in period, things like that. Genuine TurboSmart parts, TurboSmart wastegate actuator, TurboSmart boost controller. We use a TurboSmart recirculation valve, and when we mount the recirculation valve, we mount it off the airbox in such a way that it puts, when it blows off the air from the charge system, it actually blows it into this fitting, which fits on the stock airbox. Now when it blows into the stock airbox, it does two things. One, it keeps a pressurized amount of air in the airbox for when you get back on the throttle. And we found the side benefit of this is it actually blows the snow off the intake vent on the PTO side of the snowmobile. So it works really good. Some of the other things we use in our kit, this is the factory EGT sensor that goes in the factory muffler, is now relocated to our muffler. It all plugs in. Aircraft quality silicone wire for abrasion resistance. When we plug in for our XIC standalone field controller, this is our tack signal adapter. It's a plug-in. There's no cutting of wires. All the joints are using aircraft quality silicone wire for abrasion resistance. Now when we build our air boxes, we have two different air boxes here. We have one with a water to air core, intercooler core built in, CNC machined end caps, which for the water to run through. CNC machined incorporated a fuel rail. The fuel runs in. The additional fuel comes on for boost. Fuel is sprayed into the air box. It's mixed with the fuel, or the air, and obviously is injected into the engine. Now, one of the things we do, this is very important, we use a velocity stack style weld-in intake system, and this is very important for airflow entering the throttle bodies. So we have both an intercooled and a non-intercooled. We use a nice large airbox. We were able to design this kit last summer, and we've had these airboxes on the shelf now for a few months. The water to air kit also includes a heat exchanger that's mounted in the tunnel. Now this mounts up in the middle, and the two nipples here come up, and they will actually go up to a pump and then back in through and circulate through. Now this, we've found, is a huge advantage for charge air temps. We've actually found that we can reduce the charge air temps by up to 200 degrees Fahrenheit versus a non-intercooled kit. I know there's companies out there that will tell you don't need an intercooler, and they're partially right. Not everyone needs an intercooler, but there is some people that we've seen with melted reeds, long periods of on and off throttle and tree riding, 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, 5 minutes even. These guys get extreme amounts of heat built up in the intake system, and it really affects the way a snowmobile runs. Also, the huge benefit is for chute climbing. We got some guys who like to climb chutes, and a non-intercooled sled, yes, can climb chutes, but we know for an absolute fact that after 10 seconds, the charge temps in a non-intercooled kit get to over 200 degrees Fahrenheit. It's obvious when you watch one of these snowmobiles go up a long, long climb, the RPM starts pulling back, they start losing track speed, and it truly affects the speed and the longevity of things like reeds and motor life, things like that. So there is a use for a non-intercooled kit, but there's also a purpose for an intercooler. Every kit comes with complete clutching. So we have a primary clutch spring, a secondary clutch spring, 3 ramps, and then BRP bucket. We have not gone away from an oil-fed system. We use an oil tank, a reservoir. It has a sight glass on it now, stainless steel sight glass. We use the 2-stroke synthetic engine oil that you put in your snowmobile. You look at your sight glass, if there's oil in there, you're good to go. So it's a quick operation to check your oil, fill your oil. Typically, you put oil in there, you're good for 3 to 5 days of riding. Obviously, it's a good idea to check the oil every day, just like you would check the oil in your tank, your injection oil tank in your snowmobile. All our harnesses plug in, oil pumps mounted, plugs in, has a filter. It's fed from the bottom, and it all attaches to our CNC cut and bent turbo mount. These attach to the stock points on the Gen 4 chassis. This cap that is oil on our oil reservoir has a check ball in it. So the guys who are upside down, sled goes over upside down, the ball goes off, and it stops oil from flowing out the vent cap. Also, the oil that's in the reservoir can run back into the turbocharger center section when the snowmobile is upside down and not running. We've developed a turbo drain that has a ball in it. So it'll drain, when it flips over, it seals it off, no oil can enter the turbocharger. We've designed the turbo collector so that it will obviously work with the stock exhaust on it. There's no cutting of exhaust components. Everything bolts together. The other benefit of this is because the packaging is fairly compact in the Gen 4 chassis, there's going to be some heat issues with the turbo. Hood gets covered, people long pulls on and off for long periods of time. There's going to be melting issues. We've seen it in the past. Great care has to be taken to ensure that there's no heat issues under the hood. We've built this collector in such a way where the stock heat shield fits in stock location to protect all the components under the hood from heat. Like I was saying, we incorporate the factory heat guard into the collector pipe for the turbo. This protects the hood and all these components, the hoses and etc. from heat. There's a tremendous amount of heat from that section from the end of the stock expansion pipe down to the turbocharger. The other thing we do is we run a 3-inch hose setup up to the hood, and we actually pull the air from the stock intakes, both sides. Skidoo used much larger intakes this year and mounted them in a better position to shed snow and get the most air available. The other benefit of using the stock airbox is Skidoo uses a plunger in the airbox in case the vents become plugged, so it will open and still pull in air from under the hood. That way, for a situation, you'll never be in a situation where you're starved for air completely. This is the fitting we use in the stock hood. It goes up underneath, and we attach our plumbing to our turbocharger for the air supply. This is a water-to-air intercooler mounted on the Gen 4 chassis. Basically, the heat exchanger is mounted in the middle of the tunnel, so it's always in a cold stream of snow. One fitting comes up and hosed directly to the water pump. It pumps in to the intercooler. It flows through the intercooler, and it simply flows back out into the heat exchanger and then flows through. It's a constant closed loop system that is just cooling this core all the time. This is for long periods of boost or long periods of tree riding. It's a huge benefit. I know other companies have different forms of intercoolers, but not too many of them can actually tell you how effective their cooling or intercooler system is. Our XIC standalone fuel controller has a intake air temp sensor to this air box. So what it does, it feeds back that information to the fuel controller, it displays it on a screen. Also, it will adjust the fuel map for the air temperature, just like a car would driving in the summer, winter. The stock ECU has to know what the intake air temps are to adjust for proper fuel. We do have that feature on this turbo kit. The intercool kits come with a boost gauge. We just want to be sure if people are going to be pushing these turbo kits a little harder with the intercooler on. We want to be sure that they have a pretty good grip on or grasp on what kind of boost pressure they're making. It comes with a nice CR Racing handlebar mount and a cup assembly with a high quality liquid filled boost gauge. The standalone extra injector controller is mounted in a very convenient location if for whatever reason the customer wants to read the intake air temps, read altitude, things like that. It's all available as information on the screen of this extra injector controller. The TurboSmart boost controller is located in a very convenient location, just behind the front part of the panel. So if there's ever a need to, as you go way up in elevation, air density decreases to the point where you need to add boost, it's just as simple as turning this dial, and that's how you would control your boost. On the non-intercooled turbo kits, we only use the boost controller to control RPMs. The horsepower is set on the clutching setup. We just have the customers operate in that 7,800 to 8,000 RPM area using boost only. It doesn't have to be adjusted very often, but once in a while when air density changes, this is a nice alternative to having to change the quick clickers on the clutch. Very simple, very fast, and get your RPMs up or down as desired.